All right, this update is brought to you by Sid's Carpet Barn. Padres, they're off today, but they start a 3-game series tomorrow night with the Toronto Blue Jays at Petco Park. Of course, we will be downtown at the Naughty Barrel starting at noon with Darren Smith Show, followed by that will be me alone at 3 p.m. at the Naughty Barrel. So come on by and say hi. NHL news, the Coyotes, they're officially off to Salt Lake City, Utah from Arizona. And last night, the Sixers beat the Heat and the Bulls beat the Hawks, which means the Heat and the Bulls will play each other tomorrow night for the right for the 8th seed. That game will be before the Kings takes on the Pelicans for the right for the 8th seed in the Western Conference playoffs. For over 70 years, San Diegans have trusted Sid's Carpet Barn for all their floor covering needs. At Sid's, you'll always find great services, low everyday prices, and the largest selection of carpet, wood, laminate, and tile flooring with immediate installation too. Visit Sid's Carpet Barn or sidscarpetbarn.com today. What's going on, San Diego? Jon and Jim on a Thursday. Great show lineup for you today. Got Mike Ferrin, MLB Sirius XM Radio, will join us at the bottom of the hour. Allan Swa, Lakers Talk. He joins us at 4 o'clock. Lakers take on the Nuggets starting this weekend. You can hear all those games right here on San Diego Sports 760. I know you're not on social media, Brent.
I'm on Facebook, but that's it.
Well, you should be like, I envy you that you're not on social media, because there was this weird, stupid controversy about this stupid Xander Bogaerts standing ovation thing that we're going to get into later in the show today. Which it blows my mind. It absolutely blows my mind. Padres have an off day, and of course we have to spend off days doing stupid segments about, fan overreaction on social media. So I'll get into that a little bit later, but we do have a special announcement. It is a big time special announcement. I know I said we were going to announce it at 3 p.m. and it's now 3:04.
That's okay. Well, it's like the draft. The draft starts at 3:30, but they don't actually make the pick till 3:10. So we're good.
Well, the special announcement has been pushed just a little bit. In radio we do like the teases, right? And we keep you here. And you're like, what is the announcement? What's going on? And we tease you, we keep you, and then we give it to you a little bit later on. You just have to wait 5 more minutes. Just 5 more minutes. Just 5 more minutes. We'll be announcing our special announcement at 3:10 with a special guest that will be joining us to help with this special announcement. I'm reading on our YouTube chat, just you suck, Jim. Just announce that. Okay, no, that's not it. I saw a couple people on social media say that Darnay Tripp was taken over for me on the Jon and Jim show, and now it would be called the Jon and Darnay show. That's not happening either. Haven't seen anybody guess what the special announcement is. No, not a weekly with Preller. I know, not even a weekly with Eric Hosmer. That's not happening either. But the special announcement will be happening in about 5 minutes. We're going to be joined by somebody to talk about the special announcement, and I'm excited for it. I didn't even know about this until like a week ago or so. I think Brent might have just found out right now.
I kind of did, but it wasn't official.
Right. And I'm excited for it. I think everyone else out there will be excited for it. And usually when I find out about something, it's like weeks or months in advance, but this was pretty tight-lipped. I'm impressed. I'm impressed by the people that, were in this circle, how tight-lipped it was. So again, a couple more minutes here. We'll have that special announcement for you. Padres off day today. Not much happening besides, fake controversy online with this Xander Bogaerts standing ovation, little thing that I got, dragged into yesterday. I know I talked about it on the show. It blows my mind how triggered some of you people are out there. It really does. We're going to get upset and we're going to throw a fit about giving somebody an ovation.
Then just don't do it.
Just don't do it. There's plenty of things out there that I could say, ooh, I don't want like one, painting murals of mascots stomping on other teams' mascots before playoff series. Like those are no-nos. The wave, to me personally, that's a no-no. But cheering on a player, like, I mean, are we really that bored right now in between games for the Padres that we're going to get that upset over these types of things?
Does everyone just hate Xander Bogaerts? Would they be throwing this big of a fit if it was like, hey, give Tatis a standing ovation?
I have no idea. And in the YouTube chat, great point. My mind is blown that people on social media are triggered about something so minute and tiny that it doesn't even really matter. You're right. You're absolutely right. It's not living in the real world. And, this whole thing I got wrapped into, and I woke up this morning after I put out a tweet last night, and all of a sudden I'm like, what the hell happened? So anyway, it's I don't know. Can we just talk about the on-field stuff? That'd be cool. It'd be awesome. Where to bat Xander in the lineup? Is it too early to talk about that? I don't think so. I think that 21 games, while it might be quote unquote a small sample size, you can make an argument that 21 games doing what he's doing in the line on the top of the lineup, it's a lot of time. I don't know. Oh, they did? Okay. All right. So the special announcement is, and I'll wait for John to officially call this person right now. But the special announcement is that starting this year, the new voice of San Diego State football will be our very own John Schaefer. Our very own John Schaefer will be the new voice of San Diego State football. Of course, you can't talk San Diego State football without talking about the great Ted Leitner. Ted will still be doing Aztec basketball games for the upcoming season, but John will be now the new voice of Aztec football. Ted is still a part of the Aztec football program. He's still going to be broadcasting Aztec basketball games, but next year, the new voice of San Diego State football, John Schaefer. John, hi, welcome.
Jim, it's good to be on our show together.
Yeah, about time. Jeez.
Yeah, it's been a few days. It's of course the 1 week I take off is the week that we make this official. But I'm excited. Yeah, like you said, I mean, Ted obviously is still going to be a part of San Diego State broadcast moving forward, and it's been amazing to have the opportunity to work with him over the last handful of years, and I'm really excited for this new opportunity with football moving forward, starting this fall. So I can't wait to work with Rich. It's going to be incredible.
Yeah, and before we get to obviously looking forward and you being now the new voice of Aztec football, like you said, you can't look forward here without looking back and all the time that Ted Leitner spent as the voice of Aztec football and basketball. He still will be doing basketball. I know people are probably wondering, like, well, is Ted going to be still around? Like, yes, he'll still be doing basketball, but Ted is an absolute legend in this town. And for him, he has to be remembered in the highest regards for what he has been in this town, what he's accomplished in this town. And, nobody's forgetting about Ted here. This is not a situation where you might think it's a weird situation, but it's really not, right? It's really not.
I mean, Ted's been incredible to me. I don't think I'd be in this situation, truthfully, without Ted. He actually texted me earlier this afternoon to officially congratulate me. But Ted is a complete institution in San Diego. I'm certainly not going to ever be Ted. I mean, Ted's going to be regarded as one of the great game callers ever, regardless of city or locale, with everything he's accomplished in his career. So I'm just fortunate to have the opportunity, truthfully. But yeah, I mean, Ted's been incredible. I've worked with Ted for the last 7 years, and he's been really, really good to me. And again, I don't think I'd be in this position if it wasn't for Ted. And yeah, we've established we have a really cool, unique relationship, I think. And we've spent some time together on the road, certainly with San Diego State basketball the last couple of NCAA tournaments. So I'm really grateful and thankful for him kind of taking me under his wing, so to speak. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the opportunities that lie ahead. And like you said, I mean, Ted Leitner in San Diego, it's an
institution,
duo, obviously.
Right. It's an institution.
Yeah,
Ted Leitner,
no
he's been here forever. I would say he's the voice of San Diego sports.
No doubt.
And so, Ted's going to still be around. It's just you're taking over and you will be the new voice this upcoming season for football. How's the vacation? How's the vacation going? You haven't had one in forever.
Man,
You've been very quiet, except for trying to roast me on Twitter about this crazy Xander Bogaerts standing ovation thing. But
yeah, I'll say this. I haven't. I mean, my son's 5, and my son has never been to see my mom. So he's been out east. So it's long overdue. I mean, he's seen my mom a million times, but she's come to San Diego, and just the way that we work and the jobs that we have, and working San Diego State football and basketball, and working weekends, and having the radio show, and the pandemic. I mean, he was born, and then a year later there was a pandemic. We just haven't traveled with him east, so it's way long overdue. We're here for a week. It's been amazing. We've toured all over the place, and it's it's been good. It's been a good trip. It was long overdue. I never take time off, and to take a week off was kind of it was much needed. I'm glad that we could get away and see my mom and show Jones everything that he needs to see about my childhood, which isn't much, to be honest.
It really isn't. I've gotten some pictures of you at the Crayola factory and you're like old high school. And I'm like,
you have to show him where you didn't learn how to ride that bike.
Right. Exactly.
Right. Yeah. Lower Marion, where I didn't learn how to ride a bike. It's been a good trip, and I'm actually getting back tomorrow, and that'll be, you and I are broadcasting over the spring game on Saturday from 11 to 1. We'll have Sean Lewis on. We'll have Cameron Thomas, Zachary Thomas with us. JD Wicker's going to join us. So we're looking forward to the spring game on Saturday. Hopefully we see a lot of Aztec fans this weekend.
So the Padres, finished up their 6-game roadie while you were out of town here, 4-2, damn good road trip. And we said we would have taken 3-3 like that. What did you make of their 6-game road trip, getting 4-2, coming back here, above 500, playing really good baseball?
Yeah, I think it's really hard to complain about anything, and I understand the frustration, with everything that's going on with Xander Bogaerts. I mean, obviously, it hasn't been the start to his contract with San Diego that he would have envisioned. There's no way. But I think as a team and as a whole, there's only reasons for encouragement. And we've been talking about this even when they were a game or 2 under 500. We were cautiously optimistic based on some of the trends that we were seeing play out on field, whether it was big innings, propensities for comebacks, some of the starting pitching we've seen this year. Certainly Michael King yesterday, even though the team didn't win the game. So, I I think nothing but encouraging is the way I would look at the start of the Padres season. It's not the best record in baseball, but it's certainly not the worst. And, they played like a team that's capable of being really good. We'll see if they are or not, but they have shown signs that they have a chance to be a pretty good team, and we'll see if they can put the whole thing together. And yeah, the Xander Bogaerts season-long slump, albeit 3+ weeks, it's not the end-all be-all, 21 games, but it is concerning when you kind of combine it with what happened last year, obviously, for him, which was a down year.
So do you think they should move him down in this lineup? Because I know that is probably the biggest discussion right now, and they're playing good baseball. So to have this conversation, you're like, guys, they're scoring a lot of runs, they're winning games. Why change things if it's not, if it's working? But at the same time, you don't want to have your leadoff guy with a 536 OPS and a sub 300 on base percentage. So is it just like leave him there, just let him get out of this slump? You believe in him and have your leadoff hitter potentially be one of your worst hitters in your lineup right now? Or do you think they should make some type of switch where they have multiple guys in this lineup that could be their leadoff hitter and perform, probably better right now than Xander?
It's not an exact science, obviously, and you always give a player a longer leash that's under a longer contract and making the type of money that Xander Bogaerts is making. There's different rules for players that make different money. Everyone understands that. First-round picks get more chances to fail in the minor leagues than 35th-round picks, for example. So, he's the $270, $280 million guy. I don't know if the timing is right. I mean, that's a decision for Mike Schilt and AJ Preller in that front office. At some point, the timing is going to have to be right. I mean, you certainly can't produce like this or not produce like this for half a season. I mean, we're not at that point. We're at 1/8 of a season in 20 games. So I don't know when the time is right, but there will be a time if he continues to lack production that they'll need to make that decision. So it's coming. If it's not this weekend, it's coming. I mean, there's no question about it. Like you said, you can't have a 500 OPS and lead off in the big leagues. I don't know if you can hit 8 or 9. I mean, nobody's saying sit him. He's making a lot of money. He's going to play. He's their everyday second baseman. He's going to play. But does he need to be the leadoff hitter and play when he's not producing? That's pretty arguable. And again, at some point they'll make a decision. I don't know when it is that they need to move him down.
How outraged are you by the simple thought of giving Xander Bogaerts a standing ovation on Friday?
Not at all. I mean, honestly, I don't even in following it a little bit from afar, but seeing it on social media, I really don't understand why. I will say this, you could be critical of Xander Bogaerts and his lack of production, but you have to remember with professional sports, this is where we sometimes lose sight of this. It's not for a lack of effort. It's not like a normal job where you put in your work and you normally get rewarded for it. There's guys that put in work in professional sports and don't get rewarded, specifically baseball or a sport like golf, where it's tricky. I mean, there's a lot of factors that go into being successful at the plate. We all understand that. I mean, some of the great hitters in baseball history have had prolonged slumps. So, I think that why not be in his corner? What other choice do you have? Xander Bogaerts is going to be here for a long time. I don't know if it's going to be a decade, but it's going to be years with that contract. So I don't see any other reason other than to be supportive. I don't see any other option other than to be supportive. I'm not saying he needs standing ovations for the rest of his career in a Padres uniform, but I think people should understand that they all want to succeed. He's not trying not to be the player that he's been previously. So I don't understand the reason not to be supportive of someone that it's not for a lack of effort. And what's the worst that happens? It doesn't turn around the season. That's not the worst thing in the world.
Well, no, John, it's because it's cringy, because it's unoriginal, because other fan bases have done it.
Philadelphia.
It's been done in Philadelphia, probably the most ruthless sports town in the country. And they were all on board with it. So why do it here? It's just very cringy, even though there's way more cringier things out there on social media and that this fan base does. But no, standing up and giving somebody a standing ovation, that's where the line is drawn.
I mean, look at it this way. It's like what Manny said the other day with Profar. It's like, show him some respect is what I would say. I mean, Xander Bogaerts is potentially trending towards a Hall of Fame career. As crazy as that sounds, if you've only watched him as a Padres uniform, in a Padres uniform, and I'm not saying it's a guarantee, it's far from, but he's a 2-time champion. Look at his career numbers. I mean, they speak for themselves. Like, he's a very capable player that has failed to live up to expectations. Both things can be true. Like, he hasn't lived up to expectations. That doesn't predict what's going to happen in the future. And the truth is, the Padres organization, which in turn means Padres fans, need him to produce. He's being paid handsomely. He's going to be under contract for a long period of time. And if this truly doesn't work out, and it's 3, 4, 5 years that lack production that the Padres were expecting, that's a problem for everyone involved, including Padres fans. So I just don't understand a reason why not to be supportive of someone when going through, again, probably the most challenging part of his career at this point, going back to the better part of last year to the start of this year. I don't know what other option there is other than to be supportive. And I mean, I'm on board with it. Listen, you can be critical, but that's not a reason not to support someone that's under contract for the next 10 years.
Are you at a zoo?
Does it sound like it?
I heard birds in the background.
No, I'm not.
Yes, because the only place there's birds are zoos.
Yeah, there's birds in San Diego.
I just think that, John, for planning out a trip somewhere, a zoo would be on the itinerary for his trip.
No, because I'm in San Diego. If I'm going to a zoo, I'm going to the San Diego Zoo.
Okay, that makes sense. Anything else?
I just want to go and just say how much it sucks compared to the San Diego
Right, this
Zoo.
place is horrible. The San Diego Zoo is way better. Anything else you're doing on this trip, like going to the Hershey factory and getting little Hershey's made with Jon and Jim on it?
We went to Hershey's Chocolate World and got a custom-made chocolate bar. We've been to the Crayola Experience. They got custom crayons.
Wow.
We've been to Construction World and where else? We've been at every world in the world we've been to over the last 4 days for my 5-year-old son. So I think I'm kind of worlded out to this point.
Yeah.
and that's why I'm coming back.
Well, we can't wait to see you. Saturday is the Aztec Fast spring game. We will be out there, me and John, from 11 to 1 p.m. at Snapdragon Stadium. We'll have Sean Lewis on, and we'll talk about the upcoming season. And then you'll also hear from now the officially new voice of the Aztecs football team this Saturday at Snapdragon Stadium. John, congratulations. Safe trip home, safe travels. I hope Jones is okay on his flight. And we'll see you soon, buddy.
I know. I appreciate it, guys. Seriously, really looking forward to Saturday and the fall and calling Aztec football games. And yeah, can't wait to be rocking and rolling here in 2024 on San Diego Sports 760.
All right. Peace out. Bye, John. John
Thanks,
Schaefer.
guys.
Yeah. John is the new voice of Aztec football. He is in Philadelphia. He'll be back here on Saturday. All right. Coming up next, Mike Ferrin, baseball announcer on SiriusXM Radio. He'll join us coming up next. All right, Mike Ferrin, MLB Network Radio, will join the show coming up next. All right, this update is brought to you by Sid's Carpet Barn. Padres, they have an off day today. They'll take on the Blue Jays starting tomorrow night for a 3-game series at Petco Park. We'll be out at the Naughty Barrel tomorrow afternoon, starting with the D. Smith show at noon. And then me alone will be out at Naughty Barrel at 3 o'clock. The Coyotes are officially moving to Salt Lake City, Utah. And last night, the Sixers beat the Heat and the Bulls beat the Hawks, which means the Heat will take on the Bulls for the right at the 8th seed tomorrow night. And then the Kings will take on the Pelicans for the right to the 8th seed in the Western Conference. For over 70 years, San Diegans have trusted Sid's Carpet Barn for all their floor covering needs. At Sid's, you'll always find great service, low everyday prices, and the largest selection of carpet, wood, laminate, and tile flooring with immediate installation too. Visit Sid's Carpet Barn or sidscarpetbarn.com today. Padres, they have an off day today. They're back at Petco Park tomorrow night versus the Blue Jays. And it's great to be joined right now by our buddy Mike Ferrin, MLB Network Radio, joining us here on Jon and Jim. Mike, for the start of this season, the Padres, they had a lot of holes in their lineup, it felt like, but they're one of the best offenses in baseball right now. What do you make of their start offensively this season?
Well, first of all, let me tell you, I'm disappointed that you don't have any friends that are going to be with you tomorrow afternoon.
I know.
Don't you think you could, like, is there nobody in your orbit that can be there with you, that it's just going to be you alone? I'm very sad for you.
Well, here's the thing. So Jon, who is my co-host, you obviously know Jon, he's on vacation. And I'm all alone. Yes, our producer Brent has to stay in studio, and I'll be all alone downtown at the Naughty Barrel by myself. So I don't have any friends, Mike. I actually don't. I am all alone.
The loneliest radio host in America.
Correct. That's absolutely correct.
I would come and spend time with you. I would come and be your friend.
I appreciate that.
I'll be honest. I'm a little surprised that the Padres offense has been as robust as it has been. I think, some of the credit goes to the fact that Jackson Merrill has really hit the ground running as a big leaguer. And I had a chance to talk to him a couple weeks ago. He doesn't lack for confidence. It's not arrogance. He knows he's a good player, and I think he's starting to get adjusted to big league pitching. Now, that doesn't mean I think it's going to be all smooth sailing for him. I mean, we certainly know that there are fits and starts, and it's a long season, but I think it's a really good start to the year. And I think the other part is that, remember, last year you had a Fernando Tatis Jr. who hadn't played a major league game in more than a year?
Yeah.
Right? Or only before he debuted. And I can't tell you how much that year off seems to impact players. Tatis looks like peak Tatis to this point. And there's not a whole lot of teams that have that 900 to 1,000 OPS monster in the middle of the lineup. And he's it. And so there's not the Machado can't be, or the Bogaerts, slow start. I'm not really worried about Bogaerts, but I think the fact that they have Fernando Tatis Jr. back to being Mando is a pretty huge part of why the offense is where it is.
Mike Ferrin, MLB Network Radio, joining us here on just the Jim Russell Show today. The loneliest host in America. You mentioned Jackson Merrill, and for what he's doing at 20 years old, yes, there are other 20-year-old rookies in the big leagues. Trio of the Brewers has been on a hot start as well. Jackson Holiday, slow start in Baltimore. But what Jackson Merrill is doing, I argued yesterday, you could say that's maybe the most impressive performance by a rookie to start this season. Do you agree with that? Or do you think that there's other 20-year-old rookies that are in baseball right now that have been more impressive than Jackson Merrill?
Yeah, I mean, not of the 20-year-old for sure. I don't think that's the case. But I think, to your point, first of all, they're all named Jackson.
I know. Right.
I don't know. If you start naming children for big league,
I guess so. Great.
Curio's hit, I think 3 homers at this point, but the underlying data ball data isn't as strong. I don't believe it's what it is for Merrill. As you mentioned, Holiday has really struggled. I think when you start looking at the 20-year-olds that make their debut, it's pretty easy. Merrill's been the most productive. Comparing to other rookies, it's tough for me to do right off the top of my head. That's a huge performance. Like the guys in the Rangers lineup, even though neither of them have been off to crazy starts. And yet it's tough to think of Carter as a rookie because we saw him go all the way through the World Series last year. But I do think that the fact that he has provided that spark and that he's played a decent enough center field for a guy who had no experience really in the position, I think is pretty impressive. You know, he's more physical than even I was. Like how big he was. I think you see what his top field shot, right? So he's power the other way. I think there's an awful lot to like about him, and you know, I may have made with you and John that when I talked to EJ Preller about these guys in spring training, he was really excited about this group of prospects in a way that I hadn't heard before. And he's a guy that, like, I love talking to AJ because AJ loves talking about baseball players, right? Like, he's a scout, right? He loves to talk about players and he loves players. But just there was a little difference in the way he talked about these guys, and Merrill was at the top of that list. It's really cool to see what he's done so far. I do think there's questions as to whether or not he can keep it up over the course of a 162-game season, but there's questions for every young player through their first several years until they reach consistency as to what they could do. And so I'm just enjoying the ride right now.
Yeah, and you know, moving a new position that he's never played before, I think for me at least factored into the impressive part of his start of his major league career. Mike Ferrin joined us here on the Jim Russell Show today. Xander Bogaerts, he has struggled a lot to start the season. It's only 21 games for him. I get it. Last year, he had a really hot end of the season. In between, wasn't that great. He's the leadoff hitter here, Mike. And as a leadoff hitter, you want to have that guy be a high on base percentage guy and get on base a lot. Well, for him right now, he's got a 536 OPS and an under 300 on base percentage. Too soon to move him maybe off the leadoff spot? Too soon to be concerned about him at all for this upcoming season?
Definitely too soon to be concerned. I think that's way too early. I mean, I touch slack in a lot of other places where I do hit regularly about my early season analysis because it's basically like, well, it's really too early to tell, right? And I think
they don't want to hear that.
You know, nobody wants to hear it. It's a very unfulfilling answer, but we're like 1/8 of the way through the season, right? Like, it's way too early to write Xander Bogaerts off, especially a guy with that much track record. Remember, the reason he struggled last year is he was dealing with a wrist issue, right? And it felt like once it finally got healthy down the stretch, he was much more productive. I don't know if he's dealing with anything this year. I haven't heard anything that would suggest that he is. I think it could just be that he's off to a little bit of a slow start. And that happens for guys. But this is a guy with a tremendous track record offensively as a big leaguer. I think waiting or writing him off after 21 games would be a big mistake. As for where he belongs in the lineup, that's a really good question. And I think some of it has to depend on the comfort level of other options that are there, Bogaerts' comfort level, and, you know, kind of an old school feel here, which is, like, does moving him down for a couple of days take some of the pressure off him and let him relax? But he has that kind of feel. I'm going to defer to him on that, not having seen every one of Bogaerts' plate appearances. But to your point, they've had one of the best offenses in the league this year, right? And they haven't got Xander Bogaerts going. I think that's another way to keep it.
What's your biggest surprise so far, good or bad, you know, through the first couple weeks here of the season?
Cleveland's offense is, to me, one of the biggest surprises. They've actually hit the ball pretty hard, which is not what you think about with the Guardians. I mean, they were, 2 years ago, they made the playoffs with kind of a high contact, low power offense that, did the little things and you like throw Jays at it, right? Those are the things that they did to win games. And it didn't get back up as well last year. And they couldn't walk very much. But they're hitting the ball harder. Former Padres got Naylor off to a tremendous start. This is one of the things that I find absolutely fascinating about that Naylor. He's 26. Like, he's still really young. And he had a very good season a year ago. He's off to a tremendous start as one of the features in that lineup. And the other part of it is that haven't really had a great run from their best player in Jose Ramirez yet. So that's one that I'm really surprised about. I think after today, they're 13-6 after they won in Boston this afternoon. That's a really pleasant surprise, I think, with the Guardians and similarly what they've done offensively.
Mike Ferrin, MLB Network Radio. Thanks for joining me today on the loneliest radio show in America. I appreciate it. As long as we can have you on more, that'd be great. And I think that John will be joining me next time when we have you on. So it won't be as lonely. So you don't have to worry about that.
I worry that you're going to turn into a meme.
I probably. Oh, dude, trust me. I here in San Diego, I'm like Mr. Meme. Just look up. Just look up on YouTube Xander Bogaerts' introductory press conference here in San Diego. You see a giant bald guy or bald spot head blocking the entire press conference. Yeah, that's me. So I am a walking meme.
That's good.
Yeah.
At least you have a label, right?
Oh yes, it's a great label to have. The walking meme. Great. That's going to change our name of our radio show too. Mike, thanks for joining us today. We'll talk to you soon, man.
All right, take care, Jim. Bye.
All right, Mike Ferrin, MLB Network Radio there. All right, coming up next, more on the Xander Bogaerts situation, even though it's not really a situation, I feel like, here in San Diego. Also, Allan Swa will join us at the top of the hour. We'll get into the wrap, and we have a great train wreck radio for you coming up later this afternoon. All that coming up next on Jon and Jim. All right, coming up next, more twists and turns here in the Bally Sports saga with the Padres. We'll talk about that coming up next. So during the show, I think was it yesterday? Or was it 2 days ago? The days are blending in. When you do a solo show, and you're used to having, like, another person here, it's just 3 instead of 2. It's, Brent is doing a lot of stuff behind the scenes here. It's the days are all 2 days ago, because the days are all I thought it was Friday today for some reason. I'm like, "Oh, no, it's only Thursday." Friday's tomorrow. We'll be at Naughty Barrel. I kid you not, I woke up this morning, and I did for a brief second think that I had to go to Naughty Barrel because I thought it was Friday. So yeah, my days are all mixed up. But a couple days ago, I'll just go with that. A couple days ago, during the show, an awful announcing report dropped that the Padres and Bally Sports were about to agree on a settlement that would pay the Padres like $78 million of their settlement because of what happened between them. And at the time, I think I said, I don't know what this really means, but that's good. I don't know like what they're going to be using the money for, but if the Padres had to go to Major League Baseball and ask for $100 million loan, right? Because of $50 million was from their Bally Sports and then $50 million because of their payroll. And they only got 50. Well, if they're getting an extra 78 million here, that's fantastic. Maybe that could be a trade acquisition at the trade deadline or whatever. Maybe more flowers to put it in the new Gallagher Square. Maybe another beer stand in Gallagher Square. I don't know what they would use the money for, but $78 million is $78 million. So that's great. Well, Jeff Sanders then tweeted out today, update from the article about the settlement, which could pay the Padres as much as $78 million, that a Padres source has clarified the team's expectation is that the total will now be only $17 million. So just a fraction of what the Diamond Sports Group was supposed to pay, the $360 million total from 2024 through 2032. So the Padres were owed $360 million from Bally Sports from 2024 to 2032. I don't know the math on that. 6 years, 8 years divided by 360. 360 divided by 8 equals, so $45 million a year. Yeah, that makes sense. And of the remaining $360 million that Bally Sports owed the Padres, they're only going to be getting $17 million of that? What? Like, just screw all the way off Bally Sports. That's ridiculous. Because of their incompetence of going bankrupt, you aren't able to, you're not even like liable to give the Padres what they are owed. And now you're only going to give them around $17 million. I mean, okay. Again, I'm not like a legalese or anything. I'm not. I suck with numbers. But I do know 17 million of 360 million is not a lot. It's very little. And that's why the other day, 78 million, I didn't actually know the entirety amount. 78 million felt like a solid amount. Not the best, but it felt like a solid amount to get back. But now if you're only getting 17, it went from 78 to 17. What happened? Like where's the disconnect here? How did it go from 78 to 17? Am I missing something? Maybe I am. But, I mean, if you're the Padres, I mean, you got to be livid. Like, how does a settlement go from $78 million to $17 million? Like, what? Hopefully it doesn't impact this team in the future we saw this year how it impacted the team with the on-field product. And I'm not saying the on-field product's bad. They're a good baseball team right now. What I'm talking about is the offseason and kind of them being hampered to go out and sign any players to big-time money, or at least medium-sized money. All their moves in the offseason was via trade and short-term, short money contracts. You didn't see any like $50 million contract handed out or whatever. And you can argue, well, every time that Priller hands out a big contract, those players underperform and they suck. Granted, noted. But, if this is going to hamper them going forward every offseason because Bally Sports is incompetent and they can't pay, and please tell me this is Dave. Put him on. Dave, I figured you'd call in as I started talking about Bally. Just take it away, man. Take it away.
My favorite non-topic, but nonetheless. So they're in bankruptcy, Jim. So when and you must know a little bit about bankruptcy. You stand in line as a creditor, and the court basically looks at the assets of Bally's, or Diamond in this case, and then they divvy up what's left over. And that's basically what it is. It's a bunch of leftovers to all of their other debts. And that's the portion by which the Padres get paid on is what's left over in their books of accounts and other assets that the court has control over now. So it's a rotten deal. There's no question about it. And, this is why the Padres had to do what they did in the off season. When you lose that chunk of money that they've lost, that's a significant hole in the budget. And it's a shame that it went to that, but they overshot the market. That's the big problem with Diamond and Bally's is they overshot the market, promised way too much in terms of what they could deliver back in revenue, and it just never materialized because the markets, and it's just not San Diego, Jim, it's across the other cities that they were in, just never materialized for many different reasons. So they just had a rotten, crummy business model, and that's why Major League Baseball has been so anti-Bally's, is because they saw this coming a long time ago.
Thanks for the call, Dave. Appreciate it. Yeah, Bally Sports and Diamond Sports Group. The second that this happened, from Fox Sports to Diamond to Bally's or whatever, the first day, Brent, I don't nothing about the behind the scenes or whatever, but just watching the broadcast has nothing to do with Don and Mud, has nothing to do with scans, it has nothing to do with the production, or not the production, but the people that are on the broadcast, nothing to do with that. The app and the lower third, just, I don't know what about it. It just made me think, yeah, this is not going to work out. I know it's something so minute and so small and so it's literally a lower third. But to have that lower third, and I'm seeing like NHL scores and like NBA scores, and it's like I don't know why, but for me, Brent, that was just the immediate sign of, yeah, this is not going to work. It's stupid, I know, but that's just how I felt when I first saw it. But don't get me started on the app. The app was atrocious. It was horrible. It sucked. God awful. All right, coming up next, Lakers. They start their series this weekend with the defending champion Denver Nuggets. Allan Swa of Laker Talk will join us coming up next. All right, this update is brought to you by Sid's Carpet Barn. Padres, they're off today. They return home tomorrow to take on the Blue Jays for a 3-game series at Petco Park. We'll be at the Naughty Barrel tomorrow afternoon. Darren and Marty will be there from noon to 3. I'll be there from 3 to 6. Come on by and say hi. In the NHL, the Arizona Coyotes are now going to be the Salt Lake City, Utah Coyotes. Officially, they'll be moving to Salt Lake City. And this weekend, the Lakers will start their playoff run as they take on the Denver Nuggets. You can listen to all the action right here on San Diego Sports 760. For over 70 years, San Diegans have trusted Sid's Carpet Barn for all their floor covering needs. At Sid's, you'll always find great service, low everyday prices, and the largest selection of carpet, wood, laminate, and tile flooring with immediate installation too. Visit Sid's Carpet Barn or sidscarpetbarn.com today. Hour 2 here on Jon and Jim. Really, it's just the Jim Russell show for the whole entire week. Jon will be back. The new voice of Aztec football will be back on Saturday when we'll be out at Snapdragon Stadium for Aztec Fast spring game from 11 to 1 p.m. Also on Saturday, the Lakers start their playoff run versus the Denver Nuggets, the defending NBA champions. And joining us right now, host of Lakers Talk, Allan Swa. Allan, thanks for joining me today, man. Really appreciate it. I know you're a big Aztec fan. I know you're a big San Diego State fan. I know you're a big San Diego Padres fan, but I don't know if you heard the news. Our boy John Schaefer is going to be the new voice of San Diego State football.
Well, that's big time. Actually, it's funny. I literally, just a few minutes ago was coming on Twitter, and I saw him post something of the news of San Diego State, and man, great for him. And very, very well earned. He's definitely rolled up his sleeves and done his work around Aztecs, obviously football, basketball, everything else. So great news for him. And you know, an end of an unbelievable era. I used to work with Ted Leitner back in the days when I was with 1090, and Teddy's as San Diego as it gets. So end of era and a great start for John. I'm really excited for him.
Yeah, and it's great too because Ted will still be doing basketball this upcoming season, so we can all celebrate Ted this upcoming year doing basketball play-by-play still. He's going to be involved in everything, so it's great to see. But moving over to the Lakers here, Allan, I had John Ireland on the show earlier in the week before their playing game versus the Pelicans, and I know that a big topic of discussion was how should the Lakers play this game because of the fact if they win, they face the Nuggets, and if they lose, they would have a chance to face, the OKC Thunder. How do you make it out here that the Lakers are not playing the Nuggets? And were you in the mind of like, who cares? Just get the win and don't have to put yourself in a situation where if you lose, you're out of the postseason?
So as you can imagine, that's been, that was basically the conversation from Sunday to Tuesday. And every Laker fan out there is like, all right, well, if we lose the game, the world's not going to end. And I was in the mindset of just go get a W. And then it is what it is. If you're going to have to face Denver, you're going to have to face Denver. But I'd also be lying to you. There were plenty of moments in the game on Tuesday where Lakers are up 18 and it's like, okay, game's over. Lakers are going to have to play New Orleans. Or I'm sorry, they're going to have to play the Denver Nuggets. And then all of a sudden, Pelicans go on a run. Before Zion got hurt and the game was tied, I'd be lying to you if I didn't say, all right, well, this is interesting. If they naturally lost that game because the Pelicans played a really good game, Zion obviously dropped 40. I didn't think it was the end of the world. Now, it is dangerous because if Sacramento played the way they played against the Golden State Warriors, your season could have been done on Friday. So I think there was risk, and I think what the Lakers did of just trying to get that win is the right thing to do, but they gave themselves a little bit of cushion because they ended up in the number 8 seed, and with a loss, the season wasn't going to be over either way.
And with the matchup now, do you think that the Lakers are, still pretty equipped here to match up with the Denver Nuggets? Unlike, last year they made from it's like the 7th seed all the way to the Western Conference Finals. And now, this year you have Anthony Davis playing at a high level. LeBron's playing at a high level, still almost, 21 years in the league. Nuggets, it's going to be a hard matchup, but do you feel like it's still, they have a shot here?
I think they can make it a series. But to be honest with you, they have to convince everybody else that they can make it a series. So I can sit here and tell you, you know what? I think they can make it. I think they can make it. They can win a couple of games this round. But it doesn't really mean anything because the data would tell you that the Denver Nuggets are 8-0 against the Lakers in the last 8 games. That's the data. And the data will also tell you that at the end of the games or at the end of games, Denver basically is flawless at the end of games. And if you make a mistake, they're going to take advantage of it. The data would tell you Michael Malone is a better coach, far better coach than Darvin Ham, that Nikola Jokic is going to be the best player on the floor every single game. So it's really up to the Lakers to change that narrative. How I feel the Lakers can make it a series. I feel like they do have enough talent. I feel like D'Angelo Russell's not the same player he was a year ago. Jamal Murray was historic last year against the Lakers in the playoffs. So I think there is some opportunity, and I don't think it's going to be the same type of series as it was a year ago, but I also think that they have to split these first 2 games. If they don't get one in Denver, they're not winning 4 of 5 against the Denver Nuggets. You almost got to kind of break it down into blocks. It's like the first 2 games, they have to split. The next 2 games in LA, you got to split again. And I think all they're trying to do is, A, give themselves a little bit of confidence, and B, maybe put a little doubt in the Denver Nuggets. But I think it's going to come down to these first couple of games that's going to tell us whether we're going to have a series or not.
Allan Swa, host of Lakers Talk, joining us right now on just the Jim Russell Show today. Allan, when you look at Darvin Ham, do you feel like this series and this playoff run is a make or break for him? Like, is his job like potentially on the line here, you feel like?
Yeah, I think there's a case to be made for that. Now, I think as tough as people are on Darvin Ham, and I'll be the first to tell you, I've been tough on him as well. I think the question you got to ask yourself, if you lost to the Denver Nuggets and Denver goes on to win another championship and you actually ended the season 12 games over 500, and last year you made it to the Western Conference Finals, is that a fireable offense? All right, that's up for debate. I think that's it's okay to have that conversation. I think if they do make a change, what's going to hurt Darvin Ham is they should have never been a 7 seed. You know, they played about 50 games this year with Taurean Prince in the starting lineup, and for some reason they took D'Lo out of the starting lineup. They took Austin Reeves out of the starting lineup. They made so many changes through the first 50 games without going to really what got them in that LeBron James, Anthony Davis. Those 5 this year are 19-6 when they start. And basically that's the only reason why the Lakers ended up getting to the playoffs and ended up getting a number 7 seed, is because they found the mix of guys that they decided to stop getting cute and let's roll from here. The argument I would make if they lose against Denver is part of the reason why they dug themselves such a hole. They played 500 through the first 50 games or so. They had the wrong starting lineup. And why did it take you 50 games to figure it out? And, you know, the question you asked in the beginning of, hey, do you lose against New Orleans to then avoid the Denver Nuggets? They should have avoided Denver because they should have just had more wins this year based upon using the starting lineup they used over the last, let's call it 25 games. I think it's a fair discussion. I think it's a fair conversation. I think a lot of it also is going to depend. What does LeBron end up doing? What's the roster look like? What does D'Lo do? I think there are other factors that come into play here, but certainly that's going to be a question mark as well.
It's Anthony Davis. I feel like this is kind of like a rhetorical question. You know, Anthony Davis, he has to have like the series of his life, right, against Joker here to at least kind of like negate what Joker's going to do in this series, because he's going to get his numbers. He's going to get close to triple-double. He's probably going to have 30 points most games, it feels like. And Anthony Davis needs to match that, right?
I don't know. I don't think AD, how do I put this? Jokic is the best player in the world, and the conversation is over. So what Anthony Davis needs to be is as close as he can to be the best version of himself every single game that the Lakers are in this series. I think there are bigger questions than AD, because I think when the dust settles, AD is going to get his. I think when the dust settles, LeBron is going to get his. I think the biggest question mark is the player that really had no impact last year was D'Angelo Russell. Now, a lot's changed in the last 12 months. Actually, I think a lot lot of teams over the last 3 months. D'Lo's not the same player. D'Lo kind of has this, you know what, I don't care. I'm going to just go out there. I'm going to be myself. And they're encouraging him to do so. I think the big question for the Lakers, I think AD is going to be fine. I think Ron's going to be fine. What's D'Lo going to be? And I think Denver knows that. I think Denver, there will be a lot of pressure on D'Angelo Russell. I'm sure they'll put one of their best defenders on him in KCP. When D'Angelo plays well and hits his shots and he's really, really engaged and aggressive, hard to beat the Lakers. It's tough to beat the Lakers. When he's not, they're very beatable. So I think I get the focus on Anthony Davis. I would look more at D'Angelo Russell and see what he does this series.
Can't let you go without asking you about your impressions of the Padres start to this season. Playing well, Jackson Merrill looking all bit the part here. You feel good about your Padres so far?
Well, I tell you what, I love, and I know this was about a week of just watching the team. It started in that Cup series, and they're down 8-0.
Yeah.
I just love watching a team that there is no. Last year, I think one of the most frustrating things with the Padres, they never came back in games. You never really felt like there was a fight. There was a grit. There was fight against the Cubbies. There was fight against certainly the Dodgers, and then fight against this Brewer series. You know, unfortunately, they couldn't finish it off yesterday, but still, you know, obviously a great pitching performance from King. But I do feel good. I think one of the toughest things this year, just starting off the season, was just get acclimated, get comfortable. Yes, the roster looks a little bit different. Dylan Cease has been an absolute stud. But I kind of in my head, I was like, can you be around 500 around this point? And they are. So I do feel good about where they are. And luckily in the division, listen, the Dodgers are going to win their games, and that's probably just going to happen over time. But the rest of the teams, San Francisco, Arizona, obviously those two teams, can you hang around with them and make this a fight for who's going to be second, who can get that wild card? I feel good about the way they started. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, it's very encouraging. All the signs, all the trends are pointing up here, and it does not feel, at least the last week and a half plus here, it feels completely different than 2023. So that's the biggest encouraging part about this season so far. Allan, thanks for joining us. Of course, Lakers Nuggets kick off this weekend. You can listen to those games right here on San Diego Sports 760. Allan, have a great rest of your day, man. We'll talk to you soon, all right?
Thank you, buddy. I appreciate it.
All right, Allan Swa there of Lakers Talk joining us. Of course, like I said, Lakers, Nuggets, those games can be heard right here on San Diego Sports 760 this weekend. Of course, Saturday, we have our Aztec Fast Spring game. 1 p.m. that's when it starts, and 11 a.m. is when we have our special broadcast. Me and John will be out at Snapdragon Stadium. We'll be joined by Aztec's new head coach, Sean Lewis. So that's going to be a fun time there. Brent, are you ready? No, he is not ready. Okay. Brent's doing a lot back there. Understandable. It's okay. Give him a little bit of time there before we get to the wrap. Bottom of the hour, there was a post-game interview last night for the Tampa Bay Rays closer. And I tell you what, after you listen to this post-game presser by this guy, I wish every single baseball player was as honest and forthcoming and forthright as this interview was. It was, I saw Brent in the back there as he was recording the sound, laughing his ass off.
It's a future drop already. I've decided.
We have, while John has been gone, we have culminated some of the best drops.
It's been like Drop-a-Palooza since John left.
Drop-a-Palooza. While John's been gone, of course, John was here for Shut Up Nerd.
Shut up, nerd!
And Swing the Bat, Bro.
Swing the bat, bro!
But yeah, I feel like the last couple of weeks, Brent, we have found some amazing drops, and you're going to hear another one coming up here at the bottom of the hour. But right now, Brent, let's get to it.
It's time for The Wrap, presented by Sombrero Mexican Food. Check out their website at sombreromex.com.
You know who the number one quarterback taken in the draft is going to be? Who's going to be the second quarterback taken in the NFL draft next week?
Well, Drake May is a guy that early on everyone was saying he was going to be the second overall quarterback taken, right? And then lately it's been Jaden Daniels of LSU. And for some reason, I don't know why. Maybe I'm completely off here.
If someone takes JJ McCarthy, they're going to lose their job.
Exactly where I was going. If JJ McCarthy ends up being the number 2 overall pick or the second quarterback taken in the draft this year, it feels like a Mac Jones type of pick. Could it turn out to be Mac Jones? I don't know. Could he actually be a solid NFL quarterback? Maybe. But it just feels like after watching JJ McCarthy in college, you're like, I don't see the number 2 quarterback taken in the draft and a top 10 in the draft kind of guy. So with that, I'm going to pick Jaden Daniels. I think he is a guy that his stock has risen since the end of the season. Obviously, he's the Heisman Trophy winner. Do I think he's going to be good in the NFL? Who the hell knows? I don't know. We don't even know if Caleb Williams is going to be good. Brent thinks he's going to be the next Jamarcus Russell.
Yeah.
But it's such a crapshoot with all of these quarterbacks. While I do think Caleb Williams is the closest to, like, it feels like if he does not succeed, it would be a major shock, in my opinion. All these other guys are wild cards for me, but I'll take Jaden Daniels going number 2 overall to Washington. Who do you think is going to go number 2?
That's who
Jaden Daniels?
Yeah, and there's reports coming out today that New England is actively shopping the number 3 pick. So
why?
I don't know.
Because they don't like any other quarterbacks?
That or they don't think any of them are worth taking at 3. Maybe they'll trade back and, be like, hey, we're not going to waste a 3 on JJ McCarthy. We can pick him up at like 13 or something.
Well, Caleb Williams will go number 1 to the Bears, and then the Commanders, the Patriots, and then the Cardinals finish out the top 4, followed by
the Commanders are supposedly high on Daniels. So.
Well, we'll see. It's going to be.
I would stay away from Drake May too. I'm getting Mitch Trubisky vibes from him. It might be the North Carolina thing. It might be that neither of them had like 28 career starts under their belt. I'm
with you there. But the cool thing is, it feels like this draft, Brent, is going to be very exciting. A lot of quarterbacks taken in early on. Probably a lot of wide receivers taken early on. You're going to get Brock Bowers of Georgia taken in the top 10 potentially. A lot of skill guys will be going in the top 10, top 15. Which makes it for an exciting draft next Thursday. Brent, next question.
Who should be the Padres' leadoff hitter?
I said it yesterday. I think it should be Ha-Seong Kim. That's where he excelled the most last year. That's where he took off like a rocket last year at the leadoff spot. I'm not saying that Xander can never be a leadoff hitter anymore for this team. I just think you have options in this lineup that I think maybe are better. And right now, is it hurting the team with Xander in the leadoff spot? You could argue, no, it's not. So with that being said, why change things? But that tomorrow, Brent, will be the number one thing I feel like is who is leading off and what's the lineup look like. Maybe Mike Schultz sitting there like, these idiots. I'm not even thinking about it.
It'll be the same lineup it is every day.
Yeah, it's going to be the same lineup it is every day. Shut up, watch the games, enjoy the games, and let me manage this team. But I would put Ha-Seong Kim in the leadoff spot. Brent, next question.
Who should be the starting quarterback for the Aztecs this season?
I heard him on yesterday with Darren, AJ Duffy. Phillip Rivers' disciple. He's the transfer from Florida State. He has a little experience playing, not a lot, little, but already being in a college program for over a year. I think it's risky to start a true freshman, Danny O'Neal. I would like Danny O'Neal to, get some experience under his belt. But hey, if Danny O'Neal's the best, if Sean Lewis, determines that Danny O'Neal's the best guy to be the starting quarterback for this team, then I'll trust what Sean Lewis has to say. He knows a little bit more about the game than I do. So I would say right now, I think it's going to be AJ Duffy, but who knows? Whatever Sean Lewis picks, I'll feel comfortable with because I trust him. I trust that what he knows about quarterback play.
I think we'll find out a lot on Saturday.
We will. We'll see
just
who's
to get to see him in action.
Yeah, we'll see who's the starter for the spring game, and we'll go from there. And we'll obviously dissect every single play on Monday when John's back on the show. Final question, Brent.
Will Xander Bogaerts make an all-star team in his time in San Diego?
I want to say yes.
I'm gonna say no.
I want to say yes, but now if he's a second baseman, Brent, it's much easier to be an all-star as a second baseman than a shortstop.
Yeah, but it depends. If Mookie Betts isn't going to be playing right field.
That's
if
right.
They move him back to second. He's going to have to go Albies.
Yep.
And
okay, that makes sense. Yeah, like I think Xander has it in him, but it feels like one of those situations where we're gonna get maybe one or two like good seasons from Xander here in the next 5 years, maybe potentially. And I don't know if those good seasons are going to be good enough to be an all-star.
He doesn't have to put up, like you said, if he was playing short, he'd have to put up better numbers than at second. But I still don't think he's going to put up big enough numbers, at least not the way he's playing so far.
Right. And last year, if you looked at his overall numbers, like if you just told me the stats at the end of the year, that's maybe considered in today's game potentially an all-star. But again, I think people are just looking at his end of the year numbers and not realizing that at the start of September, Xander Bogaerts was not playing well and his numbers were not good. It's your numbers are going to look pretty good at the end of the year when you have a month like you did in September hitting over 400 and have close to an 1100 OPS. Your numbers are going to get bumped up. They just are. But I would hope that he makes at least one all-star team. But you're right, Brent. I can't sit here and say that he will. And when you have that big of a contract, you're expected to make multiple all-star teams. You're expected to produce, and they're going to need him. They're going to need Xander Bogaerts desperately.
Real quick, if he's going to make one, this year would be the year to do it because Ozzie Albies is on the IL right now.
Right.
Mookie Betts is in the outfield, so technically he's not eligible to make an all-star team at second base because they have him listed as right fielder this year. So, if there's any year where he would have the best shot, I'd say it's this year.
Well, he's going to need to start playing much better. If he, I mean, it's early, it's 21 games in for the Padres, but he needs to turn it around now. That'd be great. Coming up next, some of the best post-game audio that you'll ever hear from a baseball player. You'll hear that coming up next. All right, coming up next, some of the best post-game audio you'll ever hear. We'll play that for you next.
Guys, if you're looking to eat healthier when you're on the go, I've got the solution for you. Almond RX packs. You can eliminate the vending machine from your day and get your daily dose of vitamin D as well.
This update is brought to you by Sid's Carpet Barn. Padres are back in action tomorrow night at Petco Park to take on the Toronto Blue Jays. Of course, this station will be down at the Naughty Barrel starting at noon with Darren and Marty. And then I will be down there from 3 to 6, hanging out until the game. Moving over to NBA night, the play-in tournament. In the Eastern Conference, the Sixers beat the Heat. They're moving on as the 7th seed. They'll take on Darren's Knicks in the first round of the postseason. The Bulls will now take on the who are they going to take on? The Heat.
The Heat tomorrow
for the chance to go and be the 8th seed, and the Kings will take on the Pelicans, the same right in the Western Conference. For over 70 years, San Diegans have trusted Sid's Carpet Barn for all their floor covering needs. At Sid's, you'll always find great services, low everyday prices, and the largest selection of carpet, wood, laminate, and tile flooring with immediate installation too. Visit Sid's Carpet Barn or sidscarpet.com today. Diehard baseball fan, if you just watch the Padres, and if you're just a diehard Padres fan and you kind of watch other teams around baseball, you know, obviously the big names. You know, Pete Fairbanks is a name you might not know. The name does sound familiar. I've heard it before. I know he was on the Tampa Bay Rays, but last night he pitched 1 inning, gave up 3 hits, 2 earned runs, 2 walks, no strikeouts. And if you look at his, I guess, overall stats for this season, they're not great. If I pull them up here, they're not the greatest in the world. And usually after games, you know, you get kind of like the cliche answers of like, oh, I was okay, and you know, maybe I got to do better, or I'll figure it out, or you know, this and that. He has a 9 ERA this season. 8 games, 9 ERA, 7 innings pitched. He has a 2.229 whip. Not great. He's 0-2. He's had a blown save the other day. He's their closer. Well, after the game yesterday, talking to the media, the reporters, I think he had one of the all-time post-game press conferences by his locker that you'll ever hear, and it is going to create one of the best drops ever. Brent, play it away.
Was it just a matter of command, location, selection, anything specific?
No, I thought it generally sucked. I didn't think it was a specific suck. I thought it was like an all-encompassing type of suck. So, you know, we're going to try and rectify that. But for right now, I'm going to be pretty pissed about it.
Where do you kind of go from here? Is it looking at tape? Is it going through mechanics? Where do you kind of go from here?
You tell me. I've tried that. If you got an answer, I'd love to hear. Just, not going to let it beat me up for, I'll maybe give it till 10. It's 9:44 right now. We'll give it 16 minutes of salt, and then we'll, get back on the bump and figure it out.
Rich on the YouTube chat stream says, All-Encompassing Suck is the name of my new band.
No, I thought it generally sucked. I didn't think it was a specific suck. I thought it was like an all-encompassing type of suck.
An all-encompassing type of suck. Dude, that is so good.
Yeah, what do you think of your burrito had yesterday?
No, I thought it generally sucked. I didn't think it was a specific suck. I thought it was like an all-encompassing type of suck.
Hey, Jim, what did you you think about your idea to have people give Xander Bogaerts a standing ovation tomorrow at Petco Park?
No, I thought it generally sucked. I didn't think it was a specific suck. I thought it was like an all-encompassing type of suck.
Hey, what do you think of the Jon and Jim show?
No, I thought it generally sucked. I didn't think it was a specific suck. I thought it was like an all-encompassing type of suck.
Hey, what do you think of, I don't know, give me something, Brent, anything. It just, what do you think of, I don't know, not liking candy?
No, I thought it generally sucked. I didn't think it was a specific suck. I thought it was like an all-encompassing type of suck.
What do you think of the 2023 Padres?
No, I thought it generally sucked. I didn't think it was a specific suck. I thought it was like an all-encompassing type of suck.
This just shows that not all awesome post-game pressers have to involve the guy just going ballistic and screaming at everybody. Don't get me wrong. Everyone loves, Ryan Leaf every once in a while when he's just screaming at everybody. But these are good too if you're going to come up with, good lines like that.
Oh, man, it's just so good. It's just so good. I applaud him for his post game. I think that you could tell he's pissed, but
only for 16 minutes.
But only for 16 minutes, and then it's over with. But man, that was I would rate that like you can't get anything. A 10 out of 10 means it's the greatest of all time. So I won't go there. But it's a solid 8.9 out of 10.
Oh yeah, it's a solid 8.
Solid 8. Even though it's a rookie score, solid 8 out of 10 post-game press conference. It's created a great drop. It wasn't a general, it was an all-encompassing type of suck. And that's fantastic. I love it. Now you heard, now I know that Marty talked with Xander, who was the topic of discussion in the last couple of days in LA. And he kind of said the same thing, not to that, wasn't that funny, but Marty asked him how he was doing. He goes, no, I stink. I stink right now. I'm not doing well. I suck. And I feel like when players do that, it shows the humility. And I think fans relate. Like if a player continues to say, I'm fine. I don't have to change this. I'm not going to change that. Everything will work out fine. It's based, this and that, blah, 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 blah. You're like, bro, just tell me you're not doing well right now. Can you just acknowledge it, please? You just acknowledge it. Like if I had bad shows, I have a lot of bad shows, I feel like. And I tell you, I suck. I'll tell you, I'm very self-deprecating. I'm a very self-deprecating person. I feel like some people can't be self-deprecating. They can't just say yeah, I'm a loser. Or I feel like a loser right now, or I'm an idiot, or whatever the case may be. Pete Fairbanks just took it to a level where you're like, dude, that's funny. It's hard to even get mad. I mean, if you're a Rays fan, it's hard to even get mad at the guy. You're like, dude, I get it. An all-encompassing type of suck.
Thought it was like an all-encompassing type of suck.
In the delivery, it's just so perfect. I would never sit there after I blew a save and be like, yeah, it was an all-encompassing type of suck. It's not even a word in my vocabulary.
It was like he was too sad to even be angry.
And the delivery, like I said, the delivery is perfect. It's great. He's it's not even like he's mad. He's just like, yeah, I suck right now. I suck.
And then those guys well, what's next? Are you gonna look at film, work on it? Yeah, you think I haven't tried that already?
Yeah, you idiot. I watched film. I know what's happening. I can't fix it. And that's a problem. It's a big problem. Pete Fairbanks, all-time post-game press conference, 8.9 out of 10. Very, very well done. All right, coming up next, 877-767-4760. Call right now. We're going to play Trainwreck Radio, 877-767-4760. Today's prize is a pair of Wonderfront tickets on May 10th through the 12th here in San Diego. If you want some Wonderfront tickets, you got to play Trainwreck Radio to win them. Call 877-767-4760. We're playing for a pair of Wonderfront tickets. First two contestants that call right now will be playing for a chance to win those tickets. 877-767-4760. Trainwreck Radio coming up next.
No, I thought it generally sucked. I didn't think it was a specific suck. I thought it was like an all-encompassing type of suck.
All right, coming up next, Trainwreck Radio for your chance to win some Wonderfront tickets. We'll play that coming up next. All right, back on Jon and Jim. Tomorrow, we'll get the Naughty Barrel starting at noon with Darren and Marty. And then I will be there from 3 to 6 p.m. Kevin Acey will join the show at some point. Can't wait until the starting lineup gets announced tomorrow. Can't wait to see what Schulte puts in that lineup. I had a tweet ready, Brent, and I didn't put it out.
No, I thought it generally sucked. I didn't think it was a specific suck. I thought it was like an all-encompassing type of suck.
And here's my lineup. Kimmy, Toddy, Crone Zone, Manny, Pro, Campy, Bogey, Merrill Madness, Wadey. I think I got all the nicknames in there. I think I got them all. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. And we'll see if the small minority of fans on Twitter will get triggered tomorrow if Xander Bogaerts gets a standing ovation in the first inning, which at this point in time I want to see badly.
I can't remember what movie this is from. It just reminds me there's a part where it's like, when you tell us to sit and stand up and cheer and or fight, we're just gonna sit there.
Yeah, we're not gonna cheer. That's stupid. That's cringy. I'll get into more of that coming up at the 5 o'clock hour. But right now, let's hit the music, Brent.
All right, 3 questions, 2 contestants, 1 lifeline. Today's 2 contestants, we have Cole and we have Jeremy. Cole, you called in first, so that means you are going to get to go first today since you don't get to pick your teammate. You're both stuck with Jim.
Cole, you there?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Cole, you're up first, and then Jeremy, you're up second. I am both of your lifelines today. Brent, what is today's question?
All right, guys, the NBA playoffs, in my mind, will officially start on Saturday. Enough of playing stuff. LeBron James has won 182 playoff games in his career. There are 8 other players with 135 playoff wins or more. Today's question, name any of those other players with at least 135 playoff victories.
All time, right?
All time.
Okay, all time. Wow. Okay. Cole, you're up first. What is your first guess? And you do have your lifeline if you want to use it.
I'm going to go with Magic Johnson.
Magic Johnson on the list, Brent? No, he's not on the list. He had a big spurt there in the 80s and then had to retire. But
he's at 128.
So close. Jeremy, you're up next. What is your first guess? And you do have a lifeline if you want to use it.
Michael Jordan.
Michael Jeffrey Jordan. Not on the list. Not on the list. Okay.
119.
This is going to be interesting. Cole, what's your second guess? You do have your lifeline if you want to use it.
Let me go with Steph Curry.
Stephen Curry. On the list. How many does he have, Brent? He's close to it. He's got at least 100, right? Close to 100. Maybe not close to 100. Maybe it's way off. He's not even on the list.
He has less than Clay.
Oh, because he didn't play in some games. You're right. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, not on the list. Jeremy, what is your second guess? And you do have your lifeline if you want to use it.
Tim Duncan.
Tim Duncan. Very good guess on the list. All right, Cole, you're going to need this to stay in the game. What is your final guess? And you do have your lifeline if you want to use it.
Ooh. You know what? I'm just going to go raw here.
Okay.
Give me Jerry West.
Jerry West. No help needed. And you're wrong. That was an all-encompassing suck there from Cole. That means Jeremy won. Jeremy's the winner. Jeremy, congratulations. You won a pair of tickets to the Wonderfront Festival on May 10th through the 12th here in San Diego. Congratulations there. Who did we... Okay, so my guess would have been...
Yes.
Either Manu Ginobili or Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
They both would have been correct.
Okay, those are my 2 lifelines. Because once you said Tim Duncan, you got to put in Manu, and you got to put in Tony Parker. Wow, they had over 135, and Steph doesn't have that many.
No.
How many does he have? Like 90 something?
He's not on the list.
Not even on the list.
No. The most for Clay had the most for a Warriors guy. He had 108. But LeBron has the most. Like I said, he had 182. Derek Fisher,
of course,
is number 2 on the list.
Of course,
he's got 161. Tim Duncan has got 157. Big Shot Bob, Robert Ory.
Oh yeah.
He's got 155. Kareem had 154. As you said, Tony Parker, he was at 137. This kind of surprised me, but I guess he missed that one year. Scottie Pippen has more playoff victory wins than Jordan does. He's got 136.
Well, there's 2 years that Jordan wasn't there.
Yep. And then Manu and Kobe are both tied at 135.
All right. So there's the list. Congratulations to Jeremy. Jeremy won. Yeah, Jeremy. Yes. Congratulations to Jeremy. All right. Coming up in the final hour of the show today, if you missed our interview with Mike Ferrin, you'll hear that coming up at the bottom of the 5 o'clock hour. Also, we have a back page for you at the end of today's show. Reminder, tomorrow, come on and hang out. This is Naughty Barrel. Naughty Barrel is our new spot that we will be broadcasting every Friday home game this upcoming Padres season. Of course, the first 2 games that we have broadcasted from the Naughty Barrel, John has not been there. So it will just be me out at the Naughty Barrel from 3 to 6, getting you ready for Padres Blue Jays. Kevin Acey is going to join the show tomorrow. Darren and Marty will be there from noon to 3. We have a prime location if you want to come hang out with us, hang out on the patio, have a beer, have some good food. They have fantastic food there. I had a cheeseburger last time there with their string fries. It was amazing. It was great food. Come on down there, hang out with us starting tomorrow at noon with Darren and Marty, and I'll be there from 3 to 6. All right, coming up next, Xander Bogaerts. I'm just gonna dive into this. What happened last night on social media? Yes, Brent.
And we're gonna have 2 more pairs of Wonderfront tickets.
And 2 more pairs of Wonderfront tickets. Make sure you stay listening for your chance to win those. All that coming up next. This update is brought to you by Sid's Carpet Barn. Padres back in action tomorrow at Petco Park as they take on the Toronto Blue Jays for a 3-game series. Of course, as I mentioned all day, San Diego Sports 760 will be down at the Naughty Barrel starting at noon to 3 p.m. with Darren and Marty, and then I'll be there from 3 to 6 p.m. So come on down and say hi to us. And this weekend, the Lakers, their playoffs get underway after winning the play-in tournament game versus the Pelicans. They'll take on the Denver Nuggets, the number 2 seed in the Western Conference. You can listen to all those games right here on San Diego Sports 760. For over 70 years, San Diegans have trusted Sid's Carpet Barn for all their floor covering needs. At Sid's, you'll always find great service, low everyday prices, and the largest selection of carpet, wood, laminate, and tile flooring with immediate installation too. Visit Sid's Carpet Barn or sidscarpet.com today. All right, final hour on Jon and Jim for a Thursday. So have a back page to get to later in this hour. And if you missed Mike Ferrin on with us, you'll hear that interview coming up at the bottom of the hour. This was an interesting article that was posted by Fangraphs today, Brent. And the title of the article is, "Hey, these Padres are still pretty good." I'm like, okay, yeah, they've been pretty good this year. They're 11-10, and their offense looks completely different than it did last year, and all the trend lines are pointing up. They just had a 4-2 road trip, so yeah, okay, they've been pretty good. Well, you click on the article, dating back to August 31st of last season. Now, I view September of last year as a complete wash. I don't view it as meaningful or anything. I just don't. Anything that happened in last September, it just didn't mean really much to me at all, because they were, I think, 10 or 11 games under 500 at that point, and their season was over. They were just playing it out. They got red hot. They were playing the likes of the Oakland A's and the Rockies and the White Sox, and they blew through everybody. They weren't a healthy team. They didn't have Musgrove. They didn't have Darvish. But they played well in September. Whatever you want to take from that, take from it. It's fine. But I guess they've had the best record in baseball since August 31st of last year, which is, I mean, again, it's a little bit of like fake false advertising to say that because of what I just said there.
Doesn't feel like it.
It doesn't, right? It does not feel like it at all. Now, this team is 11-10 on the year.
They don't feel like the White Sox or anything, but yeah, it doesn't feel like, if you would have just thrown out, hey, do you know what team has the best record since, X date last year? I don't think the Padres would have been even in my top 3 guesses.
Yeah, I wouldn't have guessed that. And whatever they did last year doesn't have any effect on this season. It doesn't. Thank God. Because if it did, everybody would be in hell right now.
S.
Exactly. So in this article, it states, Fangraphs odds. We had Dan Zaborski on earlier this week. He is lead writer at Fangraphs, and they deal with a lot of projections. Well, their projections for the rest of the season for this lineup, Brent. Xander Bogaerts, when you look at numbers at WRC plus, if you have a WRC plus above 100, that's good. It's above league average. Anything in like the 130s, you're in the like some of the best players in baseball categories, right? Anything below 100, it could be viewed as you're like a replacement level player. Well, Fangraphs thinks that the Padres lineup for the rest of this season is going to be pretty good. They are saying that everybody in the Padres lineup, except for Jackson Merrill, oddly, is going to have a WRC plus above 100. And for me, I'll take it. Fernando Tatis Jr., a 137 WRC plus. Okay.
Shut up, nerd!
Okay. Oh, I knew that was coming. But what they're basically saying is this Padres lineup will be average to really good for the rest of the season, which compared to last season, you take it. What they do state in the article, which again, for how much I believe in Joe Musgrove, I am okay with his starts this year. He's had 2 quality starts in his last couple, I think 3 outings. It's not looked great. His velo's down, but I still ride with Joe Musgrove because he's a grinder. He's going to give you innings, and if he's healthy, you can expect him to, I think, pretty good for you. It's when he's injured where you're like, okay, you're not even out there. That's a problem. This Fangraphs article says, unfortunately, Musgrove has been something of a disaster for the Padres. While Darvish is showing his age, through 5 starts, Musgrove has a 6.29 ERA. His strikeout rate is low, his walk rate is high, and his velo is down a tick. Okay. I get the numbers. I get the eye test. But again, I feel like, don't you trust Musgrove to get out of whatever slump he's in? If you can even call it a slump, his overall ERA is not great. I understand that. But his last outing versus the Brewers, he obviously didn't have his stuff. He pitched 6 innings, gave up only 3 runs. It's not the end of the world.
Yeah, I'm not worried about him yet.
No, I'm not either. Now, they also mention in this article, the biggest problem in the Padres bullpen is the lack of high-end talent. Okay. Yeah, it's fair. These guys might not be the big names, but Yuki Matsui has been amazing. And Yel De Los Santos has been really good. Wandy Peralta, he gave up the hit the other day in the 8th inning, and it ended up ruining a amazing start for Michael King, probably the best start of his entire career, and he gets snapped with the loss. But Wandy Peralta has been great. I think that was his first run, and it didn't get charged to him, but I don't think he had a sub-1 ERA. Robert Suarez, he's been amazing. So yeah, you can tell me that they don't have any, high-end talent, but also don't tell me that these guys can't perform, because they absolutely are right now.
Yeah, you don't need to have a, $380 million player at every single position. And lots of the best bullpens are just, bullpens where you don't know who anybody is except for maybe the closer.
Mm-hmm. So I'll take a bunch of no-name guys that are performing right now with Robert Suarez being the closer, rather than a bunch of high-end talent names-wise. Again, I would take every day of the week last year's roster and just roll that out there and see what happens because of the talent it had on it. But just the big names aspect of it, that doesn't always have to be the case to win baseball games, as we're seeing right now with this Padres team. And finally, in this article, it says that, and I 100% agree with this, that the pitching staff will make or break this season for the Padres. The offense looks strong. The defense should be formidable with Tatis and Wright, Kim at short, and healthy Machado back at the hot corner. But the pitching staff will make or break this season with their performances. And I agree with it. We said at the beginning of the season, they're going to have to lean heavily on this pitching staff. I think the offense, to their credit, has picked up this pitching staff this season so far. There's been games when they haven't done it, like Wednesday's game when Michael King pitched a gem and got tagged with the L because the Padres couldn't get a run across the board. But overall, they have been a pleasant surprise offensively. They have. Mike Ferrin even said so. You'll hear from Mike Ferrin come at the bottom of the hour. I mean, you have Jerkson Profar hitting 5th in your lineup. You have him now moved up to the 3-hole with Cronzone out. You have a 20-year-old rookie hitting over 330 for you. your $280 million man is hitting 200 with a 556 OPS, and you still lead the league, or at least you led the league. I don't know about today because they didn't play today and a bunch of teams are playing. In runs scored. The only thing right now that I think is even a discussion, and you might sit there and say, it's if it's not broke, don't fix it. Why are we going to try to fix something? They're scoring runs, Jim. Like, who cares? It's fine. But apparently I became like the main character on Twitter yesterday. And this whole Xander Bogaerts thing, they're going to shut up, nerd. They're going to
They've spoken.
I know. They're going to need Xander Bogaerts this season. They're not going to bench him. They're not going to trade him. They're not going to cut him. They're not going to do anything. They're going to keep him in this lineup, and he's going to play every day for this team as long as he is healthy. My only thing was, where does he hit in the lineup? Because leadoff is, as of right now, it's not working. Could he turn it around? Like, yeah, you hope he turns it around. He has a track record. He had a down year last year, and he's not off to a good start. And you're kind of worried about his wrist, just because it was a thing that popped up out of nowhere seemingly last year. Like, whoa, this guy has a bum wrist. Excuse me.
Doesn't his wrist seem like it's the new Tatis shoulder?
A little bit, but you haven't heard. Here's the thing, Brent. So far this year, I haven't heard anything about his wrist. I haven't heard anybody complain about his wrist. I haven't heard him complain about his wrist.
I feel like we're in any day now, though. It's going to be like
sore wrist.
Yeah, sore wrist. 15-day IL, and he's been struggling with it all year, and
Xander knows that he's struggling. He told Marty so in LA this past weekend. I think his paraphrasing. I think he said something along the lines of, what Pete Fairbanks said is like, I stink right now. I'm not playing well. He'll be the first person to tell you that. So keeping him in the leadoff spot, a guy that's going to get the most at bats on this team, I'm sure he's going to be out there in the leadoff spot on Friday because Schulte believes in his guys more than anything. But in a couple weeks here, Brent, I don't think it's something that would be just like completely off limits to have him move down in the order.
Well, it's almost like the opposite because, in basketball, when you struggle with your shot, they just tell you, just keep shooting. You'll work yourself out of it. It's a
little different in baseball.
Well, I know, but it's almost like they're treating it like it's not, to where it's like, oh, no, we're going to leave. You need more reps.
You need more time in leadoff spot.
The more at-bats you get, the quicker you'll work out of this. So we're just going to leave you at the number one spot instead of moving you down because, you need more bats. You need more reps.
And then about this time yesterday, I see in the chat about like Xander Bogaerts thing tomorrow. I don't know exactly who started it, Brent. I don't know who's, I guess, like the patient zero of this whole entire thing. I don't know.
I think it was someone on YouTube chat.
I know someone on YouTube chat mentioned it, but I think it was already mentioned somewhere on X or Twitter or somewhere beforehand, and a couple people were like, "Yeah, it sounds like a good idea. It's fine. Give him a standing ovation, whatever. It's cool." And I know Darren was talking about it yesterday. I actually did not hear Darren mention it at the start of his show yesterday until he told me today, or when I listened to his show, that he mentioned it at the top of his show yesterday, like, "Hey, yeah, give Xander Bogaerts a standing ovation." And then Darren kind of shut everybody up talking about, oh, that's a real original thing to do. Like the Phillies did it last year. They just copy the Phillies. And I like how Darren said, no, you morons. They did this back in 2004 at Petco Park. For I think it was Phil Nevin.
If it works, it works.
So it's not something new. So for anybody out there that's like, oh, you guys this whole thing is just copying. It's a stupid bit, and we don't copy bits. Well, guess what? 99% of the people out there bitching about copying this quote-unquote bit copy bits all the time. It's called Twitter.
Well, they copy bits anyways.
Everybody copies everybody. Get over it.
You guys didn't come up with the wave, but every game you guys do the wave at some point.
And I put on, and I know one of our listeners, James, put out a pretty viral tweet yesterday of me talking about this whole thing with Xander Bogaerts and giving him a standing ovation tomorrow, kind of like what they did for Trey Turner in Philadelphia last year. And I said, and I still stand by it, I'm for it. If you want to do it, you can do it. I got no problem with it. Do I think it's a little cringy? Yeah, I do. Is it for me? Not really. But am I going to sit here and police fans on what to do as far as cheering for their favorite players or potentially booing their favorite players? No. The only thing that I sit here on the radio that I am firmly against is 1, the wave, and 2, cringy rap videos for teams by fans. Those are the 2 things that I am a no-go on. No wave and no cringy rap videos.
Oh, the Rangers guy. I was like, what fan did cringy rap? The Rangers guy did one last year.
There's the Rangers. There's a bunch of cringy rap music videos or songs or whatever out there from fans and teams. That's just not my thing. I think that you're setting yourself up for the ultimate jinx because I believe in that stuff. When playoff series comes out and you have these fans that go out and they do rap videos or they do songs about how they're going to win series before the series is even played, like, do it after the series is over and talk about the team that they just beat, not before. So those are the 2 things that I'm just like firmly against: wave and cringy rap videos. But standing up and applauding one of the Padres players because they're in a slump, if you guys out there think that's cringe, you really should look yourselves in the mirror because you should worry about more important things. And to get this upset, because it was all over my timeline, to get this upset and have this ultimate fake outrage over something as little as giving some guy that's slumping, who's going to be here for the next 10 plus years, who has won World Series, who is making $280 million that you guys need to perform. And when I say you guys, I mean the Padres organization. You're going to get that upset for a couple hundred fans maybe that are going to stand up and cheer Xander Bogaerts on Friday. Man, you guys, I don't know what to tell you.
I do find it kind of ironic that, normally on a weekly, almost a daily basis, we have, whether it's callers, texters, YouTube chat, people complaining about us not being optimistic enough and being Debbie Downers and always being too hard on the team. Now we show one sign of optimism and be like, hey, let's be positive. And everyone's like,
unleash the fury.
No, don't be positive.
No, don't be positive. Be positive, but don't be positive that way, because that way is super cringy. You know what's super cringy? Calling the Padres the Dre's. That's the cringiest thing I've ever heard in my life. Okay.
I've never heard that until now.
Well, you're lucky. If you think that standing up and giving somebody a round of applause, or at least standing up and be like, come on, Xander, you got this. You can do this. You think that's cringy? Oh, man, do I have things to show you that are 1,000,000 times more cringy that the people complaining about this actually do? Just check yourselves. Look in the mirror. All right? There's plenty of other things in life to get outraged over and be, quote unquote, embarrassed about. This ain't one of them. This ain't even close. All right?
The Dre's?
Yes.
No, I thought it generally sucked. I didn't think it was a specific suck. I thought it was like an all-encompassing type of suck.
Yeah.
That's awful.
It's extremely awful. So, again, if you want to stand up on Friday, and by the way, it's not for it's mostly the people that are like bitching and complaining and saying that this is cringy and please don't do this. You're gonna embarrass this fan base. The Philly fan base did it last year for Trey Turner. Do you think the Philly fan base is embarrassed? Like, they are the most ruthless fan base in the entire country, and they were okay with standing up for a player. Now, the conversation then turns to, well, that was like a 3.5 month thing with Trey Turner. It happened in August. This is only 20 games. Are you serious right now? We should wait. He's going to get out of his slump. I believe in Xander. I hope he gets out of his slump. I do. But
some of these people are acting like that's going to be the lead on Sports Center tomorrow.
It's like, not going to be the lead on. And if you guys want to go back and look at when the Phillies fans did this for Trey Turner, if I'm not mistaken, that was received pretty damn positively by everybody. Phillies fans. Let me remind you, Phillies fans. Yes, you can argue that it was a much bigger sampling size, but I don't know about you, and I don't know what you've been watching, but the time that Xander Bogaerts has been here in a Padres uniform hasn't been the greatest. He had an amazing September last year. He had a good start to the season last year as well. Everything else has not been good. So this ain't no small sample size, all right? This is a year plus. He's going to be here for a long time. And he's going to need to perform. This team needs Xander Bogaerts. They just are. So for the people on social media that are so outraged by this and think it's like the cringiest thing on the planet, and oh my God, this is going to embarrass our entire fan base, I got news for you. Nobody cares what you think. All right? And it's not the real world. And most of you guys out there, you don't even go to the games. The only people that can talk really are if you go to every single Padres game. And if you go to every single Padres game, guess what? If you want to boo a player, that's your right. If you want to stand up and applaud a player when they're sucking, that's your right too. There's obviously lines that you don't cross when you go the personal route or you call a guy out with using, derogatory language or whatever the case may be. There's lines that you don't cross. I acknowledge that. But seriously, you guys out there are embarrassed if fans give a slumping player who has a $280 million contract a standing ovation to encourage him to be better? Talk about fake outrage. Talk about needing something to be mad on a Padres off day. Again, there's much more cringier things out there than standing up and giving a guy a round of applause or encouragement. Okay. And coming from one of the most cynical people on the planet, that I feel like I am always in that mindset of like, I'm always thinking the worst because I don't want to be let down, because I can't be this positive, crazy outlook person because I don't want to be let down all the time. Coming from me, that should tell you something.
It's like I said, we'll remember that next week when everyone's complaining about us being too negative and they don't like, it's like, okay, well, we tried to be positive and you guys are like, no.
Yeah. So, man, again, know your guys' role. All right. And if you want to get outraged by this, look in the mirror. There's other things in life to get more outraged over than standing up and giving a guy a round of applause who's slumping for encouragement. All right. And I really, honestly now, Brent, I am hoping that tomorrow he gets a huge round of applause. If he doesn't, that's fine. Who cares? I don't care. It's fine, whatever. But I am hoping for it just to see the outrage from these people on social media that are crying and bitching about a standing ovation. Give me a break. All right. Like I said, if you call the Padres the Dre's, you have no room to talk. Okay.
That's so awful.
You have no room to talk. All right. Coming up next, if you missed it, Mike Ferrin, MLB Network Radio, joined us earlier today. You'll hear that interview coming up next. All right, this update is brought to you by Sid's Carpet Barn. Padres take on the Toronto Blue Jays tomorrow night at Petco Park for a 3-game series. We'll be out at the Naughty Barrel starting at noon. The Darren Smith Show and Marty from noon to 3, and I'll be out there from 3 to 6. So make sure to come on by and say hi before you head to the game. And this weekend, the NBA playoffs get underway. You can hear Lakers playoff games as they take on the Denver Nuggets right here on San Diego Sports 760. And Saturday morning from 11 to 1 p.m., me and John will be broadcasting out at the Aztec Fast Spring Game as the Aztec Fast Spring Game gets so underway at 1 p.m. For over 70 years, San Diegans have trusted Sid's Carpet Barn for all their floor covering needs. At Sid's, you'll always find great service, low everyday prices, and the largest selection of carpet, wood, laminate, and tile flooring with immediate installation too. Visit Sid's Carpet Barn or sidscarpetbarn.com today. Five 877-767-4760. You have won a pair of tickets to the Wonderfront Music Festival on May 10th through the 12th. Caller 5 right now, 877-767-4760. You have won a pair of Wonderfront tickets upcoming in May. All right, Mike Ferrin joined us earlier in today's show. The first thing we asked Mike was about the surprising Padres offense this season.
Well, first of all, let me tell you, I'm disappointed that you don't have any friends that are going to be with you tomorrow afternoon.
I know.
mean, don't you think you could, like, is there nobody in your orbit that can be there with you, that it's just going to be you alone? I'm very sad for you.
Well, here's the thing. So John, who is my co-host, you obviously know John, he's on vacation. And I'm all alone. Yes, our producer Brent has to stay in studio, and I'll be all alone downtown at the Naughty Barrel by myself. So I don't have any friends, Mike. I actually don't. I'm all alone.
The loneliest radio host in America.
Correct. That's absolutely correct.
I would come and spend time with you. I would come and be your friend.
I appreciate that.
I'll be honest. I'm a little surprised that the Padres offense has been as robust as it has been. I think, some of the credit goes to the fact that Jackson Merrill has really hit the ground running as a big leaguer. And I had a chance to talk to him a couple weeks ago. He doesn't lack for confidence. It's not arrogance. He knows he's a good player, and I think he's starting to get adjusted to big league pitching. Now, that doesn't mean I think it's going to be all smooth sailing for him. I mean, we certainly know that there are fits and starts, and it's a long season, but I think it's a really good start to the year. And I think the other part is that, remember, last year you had a Fernando Tatis Jr. who hadn't played a major league game in more than a year?
Yeah.
Right? Or only before he debuted. And I can't tell you how much that year off seems to impact players. Tatis looks like peak Tatis to this point. And there's not a whole lot of teams that have that 900 to 1,000 OPS monster in the middle of the lineup. And he's it. And so there's not to say that Machado can't be, or that Bogaerts, it's a slow start. I'm not really worried about Bogaerts, but I think the fact that they have Fernando Tatis Jr. back to being Nando is a pretty huge part of why the offense is where it is.
Mike Ferrin, MLB Network Radio, joining us here on just the Jim Russell Show today. The loneliest host in America. You mentioned Jackson Merrill, and for what he's doing at 20 years old, yes, there are other 20-year-old rookies in the big leagues. Trio of the Brewers has been on a hot start as well. Jackson Holiday, slow start in Baltimore. But what Jackson Merrill is doing, I argued yesterday, you could say that's maybe the most impressive performance by a rookie to start this season. Do you agree with that? Or do you think that there's other 20-year-old rookies that are in baseball right now that have been more impressive than Jackson Merrill?
Yeah, I mean, not of the 20-year-olds for sure. I don't think that's the case. I mean, I think, to your point, first of all, they're all named Jackson.
I know.
It's really confusing. But,
right.
I don't know, maybe we need to start naming children Jackson, they'll get to the big leagues fast.
I guess so. That'd be great.
Sure. Turio's hit, I think 3 homers at this point, but the underlying batted ball data isn't as strong. I don't believe it's what it is with Merrill. As you mentioned, Holiday has really struggled. I think when you start looking at the 20-year-olds that made their debut, it's pretty easy to see that Merrill's been the most productive. And as far as comparing to other rookies, it's tough for me to do right off the top of my head as to whose performance might be more impactful to this point. And then, like Evan Carter and Wyatt Langford already feel like established guys in the Rangers lineup, even though neither of them have been off to crazy starts. And yet it's tough to think of Carter as a rookie because we saw him go all the way through the World Series last year. But I do think that the fact that he has provided that spark and that he's played a decent enough center field for a guy who had no experience really at the position, I think is pretty impressive. He's more physical than even I realized. When I first saw him in the fall league, I was pretty surprised by how big he was. I think you've seen what his first home run was an opposite field shot, right? So he's got power the other way. Like, I think there's an awful lot to like about him. And I may have made reference to this the last time I was on with you and John, that when I talked to AJ Preller about these guys in spring training, he was really excited about this group of prospects in a way that I hadn't heard him gush before. And he's a guy that, like, I love talking to AJ because AJ loves talking about baseball players, right? Like, he's a scout, right? He loves to talk about players and he loves players. But just there was a little difference in the way he talked about these guys, and Merrill was at the top of that list. It's really cool to see what he's done so far. I do think there's questions as to whether or not he can keep it up over the course of a 162-game season, but there's questions for every young player through their first several years until they reach consistency as to what they can do. And so I'm just enjoying the ride with him right now.
Yeah, and moving a new position that he's never played before, I think for me at least factored into the impressive part of his start of his major league career. Mike Ferrin joined us here on the Jim Russell Show today. Xander Bogaerts, he has struggled a lot to start this season. It's only 21 games for him. I get it. Last year, he had a really hot end of the season. In between wasn't that great. He's the leadoff hitter here, Mike, and as a leadoff hitter, you want to have that guy be a high on base percentage guy and get on base a lot. Well, for him right now, he's got a 536 OPS and an under 300 on base percentage. Too soon to move him maybe off the leadoff spot? Too soon to be concerned about him at all for this upcoming season?
Definitely too soon to be concerned. I think that's way too early. I mean, it's I catch flack in a lot of other places where I do hits regularly about my early season analysis because it's basically like, well, it's really too early to tell. Right. And I think
they don't want to hear that.
But nobody wants to hear it. It's a very unfulfilling answer, but we're like 1/8 of the way through the season, right? Like, it's way too early to write Xander Bogaerts off, especially a guy with that much track record. Remember, the reason he struggled last year is he was dealing with a wrist issue, right? And it felt like once it finally got healthy down the stretch, he was much more productive. I don't know if he's dealing with anything this year. I haven't heard anything that would suggest that he is. I think it could just be that he's off to a little bit of a slow start. And that happens for guys. But this is a guy with a tremendous track record offensively as a big leaguer. I think waiting or writing him off after 21 games would be a big mistake. As for where he belongs in the lineup, that's a really good question, and I think some of it has to depend on the comfort level of other options that are there, Bogaerts' comfort level, and kind of an old school feel here, which is like, does moving him down for a couple of days take some of the pressure off him and let him relax? And Mike Schilt has that kind of feel. I'm going to defer to him on that, not having seen every one of Bogaerts' plate appearances, but to your point, they've had one of the best offenses in the league this year, right? And they haven't gotten Xander Bogaerts going yet. I think that's another way that you could look at this.
What's your biggest surprise so far, good or bad, through the first couple weeks here of the season?
Cleveland's offense is, to me, one of the biggest surprises. They've actually hit the ball pretty hard, which is not what you think about with the Guardians. I mean, they were, 2 years ago, they made the playoffs with kind of a high contact, low walk, low power offense that, did the little things and you like throw the cliches at them, right? Like, those were the things that they did to win games. And it didn't get backed up as well last year. And they still don't walk very much, but they're hitting the ball harder. Former Padre Josh Naylor is off to a tremendous start. This is one of the things that I find absolutely fascinating about Josh Naylor. He's 26. Like he's still really young, and he had a very good season for Cleveland a year ago. He's off to a tremendous start as one of the anchors in that lineup. And the other part of it is that they haven't really had a great run from their best player in Jose Ramirez yet. So that's one that I'm really surprised about. I think after today, they're 13-6 after they won in Boston this afternoon. That's a really pleasant surprise, I think, what the Guardians have done, specifically what they've done offensively.
Mike Ferrin, MLB Network Radio. Thanks for joining me today on the loneliest radio show in America. I appreciate it. As long as, we can have you on more, that'd be great. And I think that Jon will be joining me next time when we have you on. So it won't be as lonely. So you don't have to worry about that.
I worry that you're going to turn into a meme.
Dude, trust me. I here in San Diego, I am like Mr. Meme. Just look up, just look up on YouTube Xander Bogaerts' introductory press conference here in San Diego. You see a giant bald guy or bald spot head blocking the entire press conference. Yeah, that's me. So I am a walking meme.
That's good.
Yeah.
Well, at least you have a label, right?
Oh yes, it's a great label to have. The walking meme. Great. That's going to change our name of our radio show too. Mike, thanks for joining us today. We'll talk to you soon, man.
All right, take care, Jim. Bye.
All right, Mike Ferrin, MLB Network Radio there. All right, coming up next, my back page. Stay with us. All right, my back page coming up next. Thursday, again, reminder tomorrow, we will be at the Naughty Barrel downtown, just blocks away from Petco Park, starting at noon with Darren and Marty, taking you up to 3 o'clock. I will be there from 3 to 6 p.m., leading you up to the Padres game with the Toronto Blue Jays. Kevin Acey is going to join us sometime in the show. We'll have some other guests on as well. But Brent, let's get to it. Do you like Shake Shack, Brent? Have you ever eaten there before?
Okay.
I their chicken sandwiches are fantastic, and
I like their fries.
Their fries are really good. They just have a really overall good menu. I like Shake Shack a lot. I haven't eaten there in a while, but I've never had a bad experience at Shake Shack.
No.
Very good chicken sandwiches. Well, they have announced that they are giving away free chicken sandwiches. Obviously, there's a twist here. Every Sunday in April. All right. The fast food chain announced that it is handing out free fried chicken sandwiches every Sunday in April. Fans can score the Chicken Shack, which is the Shake Shack chicken sandwich, for free on April 7th, 14th, 21st, and 28th. Here's the catch. To grab the promo, customers...
Xander Bogaerts has to get a hit.
You have to stand up and
in the leadoff spot.
You have to cheer Xander Bogaerts. You have to do the cringiest thing on the planet, according to Twitter, which is cheer for Xander Bogaerts while he's in a slump. To grab the promo, customers must place a $10 minimum order on an in-store kiosk, the Shake Shack app, or the restaurant's website, entering the code Chicken Sunday. It will earn one free chicken sandwich per order. So I'm guessing that means you can only get one free chicken sandwich on one Sunday. So they give you 4 opportunities, the 7th, 14th, 21st, and 28th, to pick up your free chicken sandwich by doing everything I just told you to do.
You can't get a free chicken sandwich on each of those days?
It doesn't say. It just says that entering the code Chicken Sunday will earn you one free chicken sandwich per order. Okay, maybe that is every Sunday. I don't know.
Maybe it's just for those Sundays. I don't know.
But it sounds like a good deal. Now you have to, I think it said you had to,
I don't even know where the closest Shake Shack
There is
from
one
here.
in Mission Valley.
Oh, okay, that's not too far.
So you have to go past the Trader Joe's. You're going towards Fashion Valley. I forget what that road's called, and then you'll hit a Shake Shack on your left-hand side. It's over there. It's next to the old Loyal team store. I know you know where that is, Brent.
Oh, yeah, I shop there all the time.
Um,
I buy all my Loyal gear there.
Right. So the Caitlin Clark Bonanza, her Nike jersey.
Oh, I saw that.
This is a complete.
Oh, I just saw she signed a deal with Nike.
She signed a deal with Nike. She was up for consideration to signing with Under Armour and the Curry brand, but she's going to Nike for a lucrative, massive deal, getting a signature shoe and everything. But it has nothing to do with that. It has everything to do with Fanatics and how just, again, they're dropping the ball. And if you want a Caitlin Clark Nike Indiana Fever jersey, which I'm sure a lot of people in Indiana want, she's the number one women's athlete in the world right now, as far as, well, right now, not overall, but right now. Fanatics says they're not shipping Caitlin Clark's Nike jersey until August at the minimum. So that is a massive blunder for Fanatics. They could have made a boatload of money on this, and now everybody that wants a Caitlin Clark jersey is going to have to wait 4 months.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Now the demand has been stirred up. Everyone wants it.
Exactly. But you also have to hit while the iron's hot. And right now, the Caitlin Clark iron has never been hotter. That's the problem I see.
They'll still take pre-orders.
Take pre-orders,
Yeah,
but I know people probably want their jersey right away. All right. Thank you to Mike Ferrin for joining the show. Thanks to Allan Swa. Congrats to John on being named the Aztec football voice for the upcoming football season. We'll be at Naughty Barrel tomorrow, starting at 3 p.m. Come on and join me. Till then, have a great rest of your night, everybody.